Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. Looks like we have a good group thus far. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first spring town hall meeting. It's very good to see most of you. Being as a town hall, we do want this to be as interactive as possible. So if possible, we're asking everyone on today's call to share your screen so we can see you live. We just think it'll add to the energy that we hope we'll get from every one of you as part of today's town hall meeting. Just another quick disclaimer, this meeting is being recorded. So again, if you're uncomfortable with this meeting being recorded, please feel free to not put yourself on video, but I did want to mention that as well. So we do have a bit of a jam-packed agenda for today's meeting. Just to give everyone a little bit of background on the call, we thought it'd be good for the organization to meet leading up to the annual meeting. It's been a while since we've seen each other, a lot of us in person, and we thought it'd be good just to hear from us what we've been up to as an organization. But in addition to that, hear from you guys as it relates to any questions that you may have as it relates to the organization. To kick off, as part of today's meeting, Stephen and I are going to give a quick update about the organization. In addition to that, we are going to introduce our partners who are helping with our executive director transition. In addition to that, we are going to give an update concerning the annual meeting and then conclude with questions and a bit of a networking breakout session to end the meeting. So with that being said, Stephen, maybe do you want to kick things off and just give an update?
Absolutely. Can you hear me? Awesome. So once again, welcome everyone to our town hall event. The last 24 months has definitely been challenging for all of us in many respects. And our membership, our leaders, our volunteers have stuck with us throughout this challenging period. And so I will first want to use the opportunity to say a big thank you to all of our members, our volunteers, the leaders, the affiliates, for all the work that has gone into sustaining the programming of the IABA in your various capacities. Obviously, a big thanks to also go to our full-time staff for all the work that has gone on over the last 24 months. I would want to share a few highlights on some of IABA's key programming, and I'll spend maybe a little bit of time on a new initiative that we came up with in the year 2020, which is the IABA Pledge Framework. But before I get to that, a few highlights on some of the IABA programming that I thought would be useful for you all to learn more about. The first that I'll touch on is our bootcamp program, which is one that has been in existence, I believe, all the way dating back of about 10 years, I believe around 2012. There's been over 200 plus attendees across 6 bootcamp sessions, I believe virtual bootcamp sessions, and over 400 views of these sessions on our YouTube channel. So a lot of engagement there, and we've definitely received some real positive feedback from our students that have participated in these programs. On the scholarship program, this year we've received 126 applications for the scholarship program, and we do plan to award approximately $300,000 in scholarship dollars this year. The last one that I'll touch on before I go to the pledge framework is our exam prep program, which is a 20-week prep program, and we've started with exam FM to help students to prepare for the exam FM And as of now, we have 40 applications for that program. And I believe the next 10 that they are preparing for is sometime in the fall. So that said, I want to touch on the pledge framework, which actually kicked off when the lockdown happened. So clearly predates the last time that we met in person. And the question is around the why. Why did the IABA come up with a pledge framework? And one statistic that I like to cite, which I believe a number of you are familiar with, is Black actuaries, credentialed Black actuaries, represent only 2%, approximately 2% of all credentialed actuaries, according to data not only from the IABA, but also from the SOA and CAS. Secondarily, if you go or move up the chain from entry level to middle management to senior management, that number only gets worse. And so coming off the heels of the George Floyd event and all the racial activities and the push for DEI in the year 2020, the IABA, through the tremendous help of the friends of the board, a big thanks to all the work that went into that, came up with a pledge framework with two sets of groups. So one was for the employer group and another for the recruiters, since both of them have a role that they play in human resources and getting people at the right levels in organizations. And the idea was to establish a 4E framework, which we call it. And the 4Es are how to educate, how to examine, how to enact these programs, and finally evaluate and monitor it over time. And it was one that we built on. If you would remember, in 2020, we put out an IABA recommendations document around how to actually attract but also retain diverse talent. To me, that was a nice build up onto that. We had an initial cohort primarily made up of mainly our corporate advisory council members of 8 members who helped us put the structure around the framework. And we've deployed the first one with that small cohort, and we have some metrics and data that has come out from it. Next steps are, we are working on how to actually amplify and roll it out more broadly to the broader industry. And our goals, there are 2 KPIs that we are trying to solve for ultimately, and they are to work towards Black actuarial talents representing 5% at the middle management level within the insurance industry and 3% at the very senior management level. And so, again, more to come. There's a lot of work and excitement that has gone into this. We'll be happy to take questions when it gets to Q&A if anybody has one. And I'll pass it back to Dwayne to talk about the work culture survey, but also some of the transition work. So Dwayne, back to you.
Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, so in addition to the pledge, somewhat related, we also did conduct our annual work culture survey, which I think we instituted 3 or 4 years ago. And the intent behind that survey was to get a pulse from our members in terms of how they are feeling from a DEI perspective as it relates to their perspective or their related employers. We did share those, we did consolidate those survey results, and we did share with our corporate sponsors just to give them an idea of our voice in terms of what we would like to see be done better in terms of areas of improvement and how their individual companies can improve from a DEI lens to help continue to grow not only our profession, but also our profession within the Black community. So we hope to share those results also with the group pretty shortly as well. But again, we want to make sure that we're coming at this, the DEI, when I say at this, I mean the DEI initiative from various lenses. And again, we continue to work with our the actual organizations and our partners, those being employers and other groups like us, to make sure that we're pushing the agenda from different capacities. One other topic that has been a hot topic as of recent months is our org structure. We're a growing organization. We've been growing at a tremendous rate over the past 10 years. So much so, last year we did hire 2 additional employees, one Morgan Colvin to handle the student programs. In addition to that, an influence and impact coordinator who's no longer with the company. In addition to that, a few months ago, as you most already know, Kate Weaver, our at the time executive director, did resign from her position at the organization. And related to that, rather than rush and try to find a new executive director to replace Kate, what we decided as an organization, it's probably best to take a step back and figure out as an organization what structure makes the most sense across not only employees, but our volunteers to make sure that we have the right structure going forward and operating model going forward to best service our members and promote and achieve our mission as an organization. With that being said, last month we consulted with and it eventually ended up hiring Nimble Strategies to help with the ED transition going forward. As a result of that relationship, over the next 5 to 6 months, Nimble will be helping us not only look for a new executive director, but they'll also be helping with the transition of the executive director role, assuming executive director related responsibilities over the next upcoming months. And in addition, doing a inward analysis of our organization to better understand it and help us with our strategy and org structure going forward. So with that being said, I want to turn it over to the Nimble team to introduce themselves and provide a little bit more background about who they are and what they do.
Dwayne. Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Morcheski. It's a pleasure to meet you all virtually, and I look forward to meeting you all at the annual conference in August. So hopefully you're all planning on attending and maybe have already booked your flights. I'm really excited to be here. You can see here, we take a unique approach to interim leadership, and we do this across the country primarily for organizations that are going through transition, but don't necessarily want to jump into a decision too quickly. And so, as Dwayne mentioned, we were engaged in April, and really, I think what drew us to you all, as well as what drew IABA to Nimble, was our background in strategic planning, leadership development, and change management, including interim leadership for nonprofits. And our unique management approach, you kind of see here, is not saying we're going to insert one person full time, but we're going to utilize the strengths of a group of people that are on our staff to make sure that we're providing the right leadership and the right experience based on the situation necessary. And so our 3 primary people that you'll interact with regularly as a part of IABA, Dion Brown, our Managing Director of Nonprofit Services, has a long history in the military, in the Air Force, and also leading nonprofits across the country, and will be really taking a lead on the HR oversight, including the hiring of the IABA Executive Director coming in. Casey Jolly, who's on the call with us as well today, will be providing a lot of the coordination and oversight for programming and operations. And then myself, Eric Morcheski, working on that strategy and planning a lot of what Dwayne was just talking about right now. So each one of us kind of jumps in where we're needed and plays a role, as well as some of our other staff on hand. Really, our goal is to be the background player that helps IABA succeed. And so that's really what we're trying to do when we're working with everyone here. With that said, our work is really focusing on 3 key aspects: finding the next executive director. And I'm excited to share, we opened that position last week. We've already had more than 80 applicants. This has been, so far, especially in a very interesting job market, a really desirable position. And we're seeing a lot of great people applying for this job. And obviously with Kate leaving, it left some big shoes to fill, because all we've heard from everyone is how great of a job she has done over these last 10, 15 years here at IABA. And so we want to make sure that we find someone that can step into those shoes and continue to do a great job as well. With that said, we're also working on managing the staff, the operations, and the programming, and then doing staffing and organizational assessments here. So really trying to make sure we're set up. IABA has grown so much in the last 2 or 3 years. We're looking at what do the next 5 years look like for you all, and really making sure we're setting you all up for success. And we've done this on other projects. I'm going to actually, if he hasn't dropped off, I know he's kind of heading through bad cell service area. If he hasn't dropped off, I'm going to let Dion Brown, who's talk a little bit here about our work with another client where we had kind of a similar role to come in and transition a group through interim leadership and hiring that executive director with Empower Missouri. Dion, are you there, or do you need me to
Yeah,
thank you.
I'm here, but Eric, if I start fading out, please pick up, the story also. So good afternoon, everybody. As Eric said, I'm Dion Brown, Managing Director of Nonprofit Strategies at Nimble Strategies. So anyway, back in March of 2020, right during the pandemic, Nimble Strategies was engaged to take over a nonprofit called Empower Missouri. They're a nonprofit that advocates for food for all people, health, housing, social justice. We went in and their executive director was transitioning out, and they engaged us to come in, give them oversight, look at their financials, and provide any strategic guidance we could give them. We did that in that 6 months, and we also filled that ED spot, and that executive director is still there doing a marvelous job. So I commend the team on how thorough we are on our search, and so far so good on selecting the right ED for the right institution. And that's about it, and I can answer questions at the end.
Thanks, Dion. With that said, the other piece that we wanted to talk about, and again, this goes kind of into that strategy and where the future of IABA is heading. We've launched a survey about a week ago that we're hoping that you'll all participate in. We've started to see applications coming or responses coming into this survey, and we're starting to see some great interest and some great intrigue in providing us some really fascinating information as we move forward. And what this will really do is allow us to really sculpt and provide feedback to the board of directors on where the future of this organization can and should go. So you'll see we've really broken this down into several key areas: membership and volunteering. Membership of this organization, it is an association. It's got a membership program. Several of the things that we heard were the most important benefits of being a member were that opportunity to give back, the access to continuing education and mentoring opportunities that were out there for people. And I think what we've heard continuously from individual interviews and saw as well in this is that we want to look at what benefits we can provide those members who have already passed their licensing exams and that they're moving forward in their careers. And I think there are some great opportunities that we're starting to outline and starting to look at that really follow how, as a full active member, you can really benefit from the organization. And that opportunity to give back being the most important benefit that we're seeing, as well as that mentoring, really rolls nicely into those volunteer roles that people have undertaken. And this has historically been a volunteer organization, and we're really looking at what those volunteer roles should be. As the organization has grown so much over these last few years, we're looking at some new staff positions so that hopefully we can put volunteers in a better opportunity and better role to succeed and fulfill their own interests, as well as improve the Black actuarial experience. And so some of those most important volunteering considerations we're hearing from people: time commitments, structure changes to roles. So what activities are these roles actually expected to take on? And then the awareness of roles, the opportunities that are out there, because there are opportunities to take on roles with SOA and CAS and some of those other groups out there that IABA has done a great job of placing people into those roles and will continue to do in the future. But we need to make sure that the awareness of speaking engagement opportunities, writing opportunities on your experience are available and are well known. And so those are some of the things that we heard from people so far that they really want to know further about. Operations, most important aspects of IABA. I think time and again, there's been several feedback sessions going on that we've conducted, as well as some other groups have conducted. The family feeling of IABA has really kind of rises to the top of most important aspect of IABA. You know, we see it in the comments about the conference, we see it about the comments about the membership, we see it in the comments about the operation. Is people feel they walk into the annual meeting and it is one big family getting together for a family reunion that gets to talk about the Black actuarial experience. And so tied with that, though, in the most common response, opportunities to give back. Again, that seems to be a continuous feedback that we're hearing from people, is the opportunity to really make sure that there are high school students and college students that maybe didn't know about the actuarial role, that these students are learning about it so that there can be growth in the Black actuary, in the Association of Black Actuaries, as well as across the whole actuarial program around the world. The annual conference is a very important aspect that we're continuing to hear from in student programs, which I think really Stephen touched on a little bit. We've seen a great interest in the scholarships. We've seen a great interest in all the other programs going on, and we're going to continue to work on growing that so that those numbers can continue to grow. I think one of the things that I saw initially when we got engaged was how incredible it was that over a quarter of budget goes to funding scholarships. I mean, I think that's a really that shows the impact you guys are making by being a part of this organization. Other roles IABA needs to play: continue deepening engagement with high schools and colleges. This was more of a comment that you're doing a great job, but we'd like to see more. And then more active social media. And you'll see when we get to the communications section here, people really have commented this is a real opportunity, especially to reach high schools and college level students, is through social media. And then the other question we wanted to know: what role within DEI should IABA play? Education of employers, the support mechanisms for career advancement, more visibility of Black actuaries in the actuarial community. And I think, again, that ties back to that volunteer and membership note of let's make sure that there is opportunities available and that we're sharing those opportunities so that as people are growing through their actuarial careers, they're being highlighted across many organizations, and not just from a DEI standpoint, but actually for their actuarial experience in the field. And I think that's something that we're continuing to hear as well. And then the other piece being that key liaison for SOA and CAS DEI efforts. And I think that's a really good point that was made by someone in that feedback of the survey, is IABA as well as OLA for the Latin actuaries both play critical roles as we grow those DEI efforts, as well as several other groups across the country and around the world. And working together to make sure that those DEI efforts continue to improve is critical. Communications efforts. I think this is a piece here right now that you're looking at. Communications and awareness. People feel really good about the communications and awareness, but social media, if you look at most of the responses we're seeing are between about 7 and 7.5 on an average in a 1 to 10 scale. Social media falling at a 5.63 is probably several standard deviations off the average. Really kind of an interesting thought there that it could be so far away. But what I see that as more is it's an opportunity for the organization to continue to engage with people and continue to build awareness. And so we also looked at where people are engaging. And as we get into when providing a final feedback report out of this, one of the things we'll do is break down who's engaging with which platforms. You know, are they students engaging with different platforms? Are they experienced actuaries? What platforms? Because that'll also help us really identify what content needs to be pushed across which platforms. Some of the most enjoyed content people are really seeing: recognition and promotion of Black actuaries, job opportunities, member of the week, employer efforts to attract and retain Black actuaries, and individual profiles. So we're really seeing some really great content already being shared, and we'll continue to highlight those pieces as we go, as well as we build content calendars and content and communications plans. Really, things we've heard that we want to see continued awareness building by as much overt representation as possible, filling leadership roles, speaking at conferences and writing articles. Students need to see leaders like themselves succeeding. And I think that's a really good point that someone has made through this survey is if you want students to feel like this is a profession for themselves, they need to see people succeeding that remind them of themselves. Actuarial conferences in schools and more high school outreach are all really great comments that people have made so far. And we hope to continue to get great feedback on this from all of you as you participate in the survey. And kind of wrapping up survey update as from here, do you plan on attending the conference, the 2022 conference? Really, this is great feedback. 2/3 of the people will say yes. 1/3 are just not sure yet, right? I think we're all coming out of 2 years of COVID hibernation, and people want to make sure that they're comfortable and confident with where the world is before they make that comfortable decision to say, I really do want to be part of that family experience at the conference. Some of the most valuable parts of the conference, the connection to other Black actuaries, networking, career advancement and placement, and inspiration, all really great feedback that we're hearing from people so far. And the conference appeal, professional development, keynote speakers, evening networking, career networking, all got really nice feedback, really, really strong feedback. Awards dinner, interestingly, far exceeded anything else on the feedback, but also had the greatest spread of rankings in that someone rated it a 1 and several people rated it. I think that really, I think shows more than anything, probably that people, as we continue to build that family experience for everyone coming to the conference, those people will feel more included in that dinner and better welcomed in that dinner. And that 1 will rise up to the 10, like so many of those other rankings. We do want to say, please participate in this survey. We will likely be offering some incentives for participation later this week. And I will say anyone who has participated so far will be included in those incentive opportunities. So we won't leave you out for being a first mover on participating. And with that said, I'd love to pass this along to Monique Hacker to talk a little bit about that conference that we're so excited about.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to give just a quick update on the annual meeting. So the theme for this year's meeting is Reunited, Reignited, a Family Affair. So we're excited to have everybody back with us in person. And I'm hoping you guys are equally as excited and are planning on being there. Unlike other years, the annual meeting is going to be a second weekend of August, the 11th through the 13th. And it's a Thursday evening to a Saturday. That's not going to be the norm. It's usually the end of the July, first week of August. So this is just a one-off. But for this year, just make sure you note that it's August 11th through 13th. It'll be in New Orleans, and it will be hosted at the Roosevelt Hotel, New Orleans, which is a Waldorf Astoria hotel. So it's going to be really nice. There'll be a kickoff networking event on Thursday evening. We'll get a chance to meet some members and our leaders and other volunteers. So it's a nice event to get introduced to our leadership or introduced to the annual meeting if you've never been. But just be prepared to be excited. So that's Thursday evening. Friday, we'll have our usual professional development sessions. We'll also have a career networking event, which is probably going to be our biggest one yet. And we'll have an evening networking event, which is going to be super exciting. Can't say much about it, except it's going to have some New Orleans inspired activity. So come and you'll find out what that is. So that's our Friday evening networking event. And sorry about that, my sister just turned off the light on me. So I'm just making sure you guys are awake. And then on Saturday, we'll have our usual professional development sessions, and then our awards banquet, which we have had so many accomplishment and exam passes for the last over 2 years. So we can't wait to celebrate with everyone and just recognize all your hard work. So that's going to be probably the highlight of our conference. So the registration will be launched within the next 1 to 2 weeks. So just be on the lookout. And we're asking everyone if they can just not do what we would normally do, which is wait till the last minute and register. Just try to register as soon as possible, because we do need an idea of the count, because again, it's 2 years. We don't know if we're going to expect a huge influx of people, or people are still kind of nervous about attending large events. So we just need, this will help us with planning if you guys register as soon as possible, or at least let us know that you plan to register, but you won't be able to do so right away. So we just need to have an idea of the number of people we should expect. And you can also do that through the hotel reservations. So as soon as the room block opens, when you get that notification, as soon as the room block opens, just go ahead and make your reservation. Again, this is probably in your best interest anyway, so you can make sure you have a room within that hotel, because the block might sell out. We're not sure of what the counts are that we're expecting right now. So with that, that's all my update for the annual meeting. We have a Q&A, so you guys can feel free to ask any questions at that time.
Thanks, Monique. I did see one question in the chat, which I believe Nicole did answer related to the annual meeting. But at this time, we want to open the floor up to anyone else who may have any general questions for us.
Hey, this is Stafford. More of a technical question. One of the things that Kate did a pretty good job, actually a great job of, is handling IT issues. So if somebody was trying to become a member, somebody was trying to register for the meeting, a little computer inadept such as myself, she did a pretty good job of helping us through that process. Will we have somebody from Nimble that will be able to help and assist in that regard, or are we just on our own?
You're never on your own with us, Stafford. But great question. I think for the most part, if starting with the annual meeting committee, which is mainly Nicole Harrington and our annual meeting coordinator, they will be able to address any questions as it relates to the annual meeting. To the extent that there's additional help or support needed as it relates to the general capabilities, IT related within IABA, we'll also engage Nimble where needed to provide that assistance.
So you can always feel free to keep emailing that IABA@blackactuaries.org or email director@blackactuaries.org, and we'll make sure to get you taken care of at all times.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Dora.
I would like to ask, what is included in the registration for the annual meeting? Like, I know the fly, we have to pay it in the hotel, but like the food, is it included or something?
Yeah. Yes, their costs are included, including your lunch and dinner at the awards banquet. That's included in your registration fee, as well as breakfast on Friday and Saturday. Lunch as well. We have 2 lunch sessions, and that's also included. So for the most part, for at least the 2 days, Friday and Saturday, your meals will be included.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I have a question for Stephen Obroka. Stephen, you spoke about increasing the membership from the 2% to 5% and about 3% in the management levels. Over what time horizon are you looking at?
Yeah, thanks, Francis. So we are looking at a time frame of, let's call it between 5 to 7 years. Our initial duration that we put out when we launched the initial pledge had a 5-year timeline. And so actually on the website, we have 2025, but we know a lot of this takes time to kind of formulate. We just finished that initial cohort test to try to kind of formulate and put together the full framework. And so I think that we might have to revisit the timing, especially given we are now about to kind of roll it out more broadly to the rest of the industry.
Okay, thank you very much. And when is that? When are we going to see the 12% target?
Well, we are definitely shooting for the stars, but I think we have to walk before we run. We will take all the incremental wins and gains, and you know, to your point, I mean, the number of Black of the U.S. population is at 12 to 13%. So that is the North Star, right? To get to the point where at all levels of organizations, our makeup kind of mirrors who we are in terms of within the population. But let's give that maybe 10 to 15 years going on the aggressive side.
Okay, because I saw that among the lawyers, they've reached 8%. We need to beat those long talkers.
We welcome the challenge. I know it's going to be a village effort, so definitely welcome all the support from everyone for sure.
Sure. So, yeah, we got to beat the lawyers.
I saw a quick question in the chat related to scholarships. Mainly, when will students be made aware of the scholarship winners? I don't have the specific date, but I know typically the communication goes out in early July. So by early July, students should know whether or not they have won a scholarship, IABA scholarship. Any other questions?
Oh, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So with this new company, do you guys have any, I guess, interesting strategies to bring in new corporate sponsors? I know we already have quite a few, and I guess under the previous leadership, we have gotten a lot of support, but I was just wondering if there's any new strategy to get more corporate sponsorship or, I guess, public financial support.
Yeah, I think we're starting to look into some of these opportunities that are there. I mean, I think one of the things you noted is over these last 2 years, IABA, the board of directors, Kate and Morgan and the team have really done a great job of bringing in more and more sponsors. I think we're going to continue to look at where there are still some opportunities, though, to grow that. And I think one of the things that in our just initial findings, and we haven't discussed this with the board, so I hope I don't offend them with what I'm about to say, but but I think what's been great is the amount of sponsors that are coming from the community that really you all are working for right now. I think where there is a lot of times what we see is sponsorships coming in from groups that want to sell to the members of an organization, and I think it's an opportunity that's out there, but there maybe hasn't been enough hands on deck to go pursue some of those opportunities. And so we'll continue to look at who those are and what those are, because I think there are a lot of software companies out there that would be happy to work with you all and want to share their products and their opportunities with IABA and its members. And so we want to be careful that we're not layering in the wrong people or the wrong groups, but at the same time, there are probably some extended opportunities out there that as we further develop our experience with everyone, that we'll find some of those new opportunities, and we'll make sure we turn over every rock. I'm not sure if there are any other questions. I know what our next plan is to actually move you into private rooms with 8, 10, 12 of you in each room, that you have a board member there to ask questions that maybe people feel a little more comfortable asking it in a smaller group than they do with a group of so many people. So if you have questions for the larger group, we're happy to keep answering them, but we also are happy to let you kind of break into smaller rooms and have a board member available at your disposal to ask those questions to. So if there are other questions, though, we're happy to let people ask them here. Otherwise, I'm going to open up rooms and push you all out into smaller rooms so you can have those more nuanced private conversations.
Thanks, Eric.